Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AAFR Talk, free for all Friday. Get to the phones here just in a quick second. Let's play the second of the two sound bites we have from John Kerry. And I want you to listen to what he says here. You know, if we take him at his word, then you have to ask the question, what are we even doing considering military initiative in Syria? Let's listen.
The president has been clear. Any action that he might decide to take will be limited and tailored response to ensure that a despot's brutal and flagrant use of chemical weapons is held accountable. And ultimately, we are committed. We remain committed. We believe it's the primary objective is to have a diplomatic process that can resolve this through negotiation, because we know there is no ultimate military solution. It has to be political. It has to happen at the negotiating table. And we are deeply committed to getting there.
You know, that just makes no sense whatsoever. We know that doesn't have a military solution. Then why in the world are you talking about dropping bombs in there? You know, and even the architect of these limited strikes, the architects for the United States military, they're saying, look, a limited strike, a limited effort of this type is going to have very limited, it's going to achieve very little. What it's going to accomplish is going to be very limited. So what it accomplishes is going to be as limited as the initiative. You know, and my feeling is if you're going to send a drone in there or some kind of cruise missile, the only reason we ought to do it is to take out Assad, take him out. If he's the one that's behind it, then take him out. We don't send troops in there. We just take him out. He's the head, and we say to the Syrian people, look, you put another guy like him in there, you put another guy in there that's going to go gas his people, then we'll drop a drone on him. So you better be careful who you let occupy his place in the palace, or just take out the whole palace. Now, I don't believe we ought to go in there at all, but what I'm saying is if we do, then that ought to be all we go in there to do. And those that have talked about this said, look, there is no way you can neutralize these chemical weapons if you don't put boots on the ground. You have to send boots on the ground into these chemical depots, the place where they are stored, the place where they are kept, the places where they are launched. You got to go in there with boots on the ground if you're going to. You cannot do that from the air. In part, you go in there from the air and you detonate these chemical weapons depots. What are you going to do? You're going to wind up gassing more people in Syria than Assad did. So you got to go in there, boots on the grounds, take possession of them, and haul them off, and then find a way to neutralize them or defuse them or whatever they do to chemical weapons. Now, so to me, this makes no sense. And you think that he said, look, this doesn't have a political solution. Only solution here is going to be diplomatic, going to be sitting around the table. Well, I want you to think about American history. The number of conflicts that have been solved, not by negotiation, but solved by war. Our independence from Britain, how did that get solved? We negotiated with the British for decades. Didn't work, had to go to war to protect our independence. So war gave us our freedom from Britain. It was war that was a political solution to a political problem. Civil War. How did the slaves get emancipated? We had to go to war. That was a political problem. Is America going to be a nation that tolerates slavery? That's a political problem. Did they solve it through negotiations? No. They negotiated in the Senate and the House until they were blue in the face. It was solved by war. Now, it's a tragedy, but that's how it got solved. We haven't had slavery in America since 1865 because we solved a political problem through war. Think about World War II. How did we get rid of Nazi Germany? It wasn't by sitting around a table and talking. It was by bombing the heck out of Nazi Germany and getting them to unconditionally surrender. Same with Japan. So war solved the threat of totalitarian Nazism. So it's just nonsense. And the fact that this guy is a Secretary of State, he's at the top of the pyramid with this kind of stuff, and he does not understand that some issues can only be resolved through war is kind of a frightening prospect. Well, let's go to the phones. Free for all Friday, 888-589-8840. Let's begin with Lee in Texas. Lee, welcome to Focal Point. Okay, let's grab Lee in Texas. It's not working for me. I don't know if I'm connected to the server. I got that odd not connected to the server thing. Is there any way you can bring him in? Okay. We'll have Jeff do it. I'm trying to bring the callers in from here, but I'm having some software trouble with that. So Jeff, let me know when and if we get that worked out. So those of you that are waiting on hold, wait patiently. And this is not just okay. I guess we're ready to go. Let's grab Lyric in Texas. Lyric in Texas. Do we have it?
Yes, I am on.
Okay, there you are. Okay, my software's not working, so I'm going to count on you, Jeff, to let me know who we got. All right, go ahead, Larry.
All right, I had a couple of brief comments, but before I go into that, I just wanted to say I wish we had become involved 2 years ago with Syria before Hezbollah took over the insurgency. And I find it really interesting as well how John Kerry is trying to come off as some type of moral high roader after all the interesting things that he has done in his military career. And I'll just leave it at that. But one thing that I did want to state is that when you were talking earlier about socialism and the direction we're heading right now is simply government-sanctioned theft. And it really reminds me of Huxley's book, Brave New World. And it was kind of written in contrast to George Orwell's 1984, which basically said that America would be taken down by the government doing all kinds of horrible things and imposing horrible things on its citizens. But in contrast, Huxley was essentially saying in Brave New World that we would essentially fall apart because of our addiction to pleasure. And so if you think about what socialism is, it's coveting. It's not some kind of high moral way to go about things. It's actually coveting something that your neighbor owns and wanting to take it for yourself. That's exactly what is happening with Brave New World. And, it's coming to fruition right now. And it's a mix of 1984 and Brave New World.
Yeah. All right. Well,
one leads to the other. And the last thing I wanted to say, I'll get off quickly, is that talking about religious liberty and persecution, we can see that the Obama administration is very much at war with religious liberty, especially by the fact that they are completely shutting down what's going on with an American citizen who is being tortured in Iran for his faith, and that is Saeed Abdini. And I just wanted to mention briefly that on September 26th, Nagma Abdini, Saeed's wife, is trying to organize a national day of prayer to where people all around the country and the world will organize prayer vigils at state capitals, city halls, etc. I'm organizing one with my family here in Houston. And I know there's one in Jackson, Mississippi. I don't know if people at AFA would want to get one going at maybe City Hall in Tupelo. But if everyone goes to savesaeed.org/vigil, as in prayer vigil, you can see whether or not there is a prayer vigil in your city. And if not, you can actually organize one.
All right. Well, fantastic. Listen, I appreciate that, Larry. Thank you very much. John Kerry finally speaking out about this today had to be goaded to even talk about the fact you got an American, Saeed Abedini, who's in prison in Iran. An appeal was filed on his behalf. It was turned down. He's going to sit there and rot in this prison in Iran for doing nothing more than trying to help kids over there that were disadvantaged kids and in difficult circumstances. That's all he was trying to do it in the name of Jesus. Wasn't over there to launch a nationwide campaign, evangelistic campaign, and John Kerry just now weighing in. And the threat to religious liberty, you see that in the way President Obama is shutting down Christian expression all over the military. Lyric's exactly right about socialism. Socialism represents a violation of the 8th commandment and the 10th commandment. The 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. That's what government does to fund socialist programs, is they steal from their own people at the point of a gun. That's theft. It's legalized plunder. And it's based on coveting. They want what those who are prosperous and have worked hard and accumulated a certain amount of wealth, they covet that. They want it for themselves. And so they violate the 10th commandment because socialism is predicated. It's rooted and grounded in a violation of the 10th commandment, which says, thou shalt not covet anything that your neighbor has. So they covet, they don't have it, so they just take it by government force. All right, let's go to Lee in Texas. Lee, if we can bring in on Focal Point with Brian Fisher, go ahead.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Hi. I was calling about the news that you just posted a few minutes ago about two sisters that were in a school district outside of Houston.
Yes,
I personally live outside of Houston, but have been in Houston my whole life and have been in campus ministry for over 30 years, and would like to know, if possible, maybe offline or somehow, the school district, the school, the date when it happened, and as much news about that as I can possibly get, please.
Well, what you might try to do is call Revival Fires Ministry, and you might call the same number that we're using to order up Bibles. It's 800-733-4737.
Okay,
800.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm driving in the car. I can't write that down.
All right. Well, you can go to our website. You can go to our website at afr.net, and you can get the phone number off of our website. So when you get a chance, go to our website, afr.net. You'll see the banner for the Truth for Youth, and it'll have the phone number up there, and you can call them, and maybe they can put you in touch with Tim Todd.
Okay, but it's called Revival Fires?
Yeah, Revival Fires, plural, Revival Fires Ministry. And Reverend Tim Todd heads that up, and they're the ones that are sponsoring the Truth for Youth Bible Week. So,
okay.
All right, Lee, listen, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Last call of the hour. Let's go to Jim in Mississippi. Jim, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind? Jim, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to talk about was the deal with Obamacare.
Uh-huh.
I have tried to get people to go to the website, don't fund Obamacare.
Yeah, don'tfundobamacare.com. Over 900,000
right.
signatures, by the way, at that website.
Even tried to get the first person I did was my wife, and trying to get her to do this. She goes, she looks up, she sees where she's got to put a Social Security number in. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, "I'm not going to do this."
No, she didn't have to put a Social Security number in there.
Well, that's what it said. But
well,
anyway,
it asks for an address. You do have to give them an email address.
I think it asked for the Social Security number. But anyway.
No, it's just the first name, last name, and an email address. That's it. I mean, I was one of the first people to sign up on that thing.
Okay. Well, what people are afraid of, I found out, because I tried to get friends, is the fact that they're scared of the IRS and
the
whole nine bunch. I think that's the reason that there are only 700 the last.
Yeah, I think it's 900. It's over 900,000 now, but it's.
They should be millions,
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, listen, I got to let you go up against a hard break. I appreciate the call, and thanks for the heads up there, Jim. Focal Point AFR Talk, and don't worry, all they'll ask for, don'tfundobamacare.com. They'll ask for your name and an email address. That's it. Back after the news. Stay with us. Focal Point AFR Talk.